In this video, we'll see how to multiply fractions. It's always helpful to look at a model of what we're doing to help you understand how this works. So I've got 4 times 2/3 here. And you see we have our fraction model here of 2/3. If I want to multiply it by 4, that basically means I need 4 groups of 2/3. So it looks something like this. Well, if you count all this up, how many of these little thirds are there? How many of these little wedges here are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 of those little wedges, and each of those wedges represents a third. So we have 8 thirds. We know we can take that improper fraction and make it a mixed number, 8 thirds. 3 goes into 8 2 times with 2 left over. So 8 thirds is equal to 2 and 2/3. All right, let's look at this next problem. It's 3 times 7/9. You see we have the model here of 7/9. 7 out of the 9 rectangles are filled in, but I need 3 of these models here. So there's 2, and here's 3. If I count up all of the individual rectangles, I'll see that there are 21 of them. And each of those rectangles represents a ninth of the figure. So there are 21 ninths. But again, I want to change this improper fraction to a mixed number. 9 goes into 21 2 times. 2 times 9 is 18, so that means there are 3 ninths left over. I would not leave this as 2 and 3 ninths though. I want to simplify it. My final answer is going to be 2 and 1/3. Okay, here are a couple for you to practice on your own. Hit pause and then we'll go through the answers together. So I've got 4 times 4/5. That means I need 4 groups of 4/5. Well, if there are 4 groups of 4/5, that means I'm going to have 16 fifths. But again, that improper fraction, I want to make it a mixed number. 5 goes into 16 3 times with 1 left over. Next, 11 times 3/10. I need 11 groups of 3/10. 11 times 3 is 33. So I'll have 33 tenths, or 3 and 3/10. Hopefully you see what we're doing here. We're taking this whole number 4, and I can express 4 as a fraction, writing it as 4/1. And I'm going to multiply 4/1 times 4/5. Well, I just multiply the numerator times the numerator, which is 16, and the denominator 1 times the other denominator 5. 1 times 5 is 5. All right, now let's try to understand what multiplying a fraction and a fraction means. And again, a model is going to be helpful here. So I have half times 5/6. You can see on the left, I have my model of a half, and on the right, I've got my model of 5/6. When I think about multiplying these two fractions, what I do is I think about, well, what happens when I overlap one fraction with the other? So if I want to find half of 5/6, it's like I got to take that shape 5/6, right, and cut it in half. Well, notice, what do we get when we cut this in half? And again, we're looking here for the overlap. So in terms of this rectangle here, what part of the whole does that represent? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of that, those pieces filled in the overlap. And how many total pieces are in the rectangle now? There are 12. So 1/2 of 5/6 is 5/12. All right, here's another one. 3/4 of 3/5. Okay, I got my model of 3/4 and 3/5 here. Again, I'm looking for that overlap. What is that overlap? I'm going to try to find 3/4 of 3/5. Well, my overlap is represented by all of these small rectangles in here, and there are 9 of those. But how many total rectangles are in the figure here? Oh, there are 20 of those rectangles. So 3/4 of 3/5 is 9/20. Hopefully you're noticing that we're multiplying the numerator by the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. All right, here are a couple for you to practice on your own. 1/7 times 2/3. You need to find a seventh of 2/3. I'm going to multiply the two numerators together. 1 times 2, that's 2. I'm going to multiply the two denominators together. 7 times 3, that's 21. 4/5 times 2/9, our next problem. Again, I'm going to multiply my numerators together. 4 times 2 is 8. And I'm going to multiply my denominators together. 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, and that is how we multiply with fractions.